In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 lessons that I've learned along the last 8 years since building my business from just myself on my own in my bedroom at home through to almost 50 team members with a £6 million turnover business across 2 sites here in the UK. I'm going to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned the hard way and that I'd love to share with somebody that's just starting out on their journey, trying to break through the first few million of turnover. Lesson number 1 is check the small print. Now this sounds so obvious, and I think if you're a highly detailed oriented person, this will be a walk in the park and you're probably thinking, how's that a lesson? But I really learned this the hard way. I'm very fast paced, I do consider myself an entrepreneur, and I'm very much always on to the next thing. I'm very impatient and I'm just trying to get it done, move on, and I don't like getting too involved with paperwork and signing things. I just want to keep moving at pace. And I made a big mistake a few years ago where we were upgrading our company phone system. The sales agent came in, they showed me the product, it seemed really good, it was a better phone system than we currently had, and it ticked all the boxes for me. The deal was there, it was a good agreed deal, we got a slight discount, and everything seemed to just be done. As I got towards the end of the deal, I just wanted the meeting to be finished, I wanted the phone system signed, and I wanted it to be delivered and get in, and I wanted to move on to the next challenge. What I failed to realise was when I signed the contract across the table, I thought I was signing into an annual rolling contract, and I wrongly assumed that this provider would be the same terms in the VoIP phone world as my current one. Little did I realise a little bit later on, once it was way too late, that I'd actually signed us into a 7-year fixed contract, which was literally tens and tens of thousands of pounds that we were committed to and we could not get out of. It was a watertight contract, and it's gone down in our history as the company as a real Taylor special, and something that my team constantly joke around, and we're now locked into that contract. And it was all because I didn't stop, take a moment to breathe and read the small print before I eagerly just wanted to get it done and move on. So my big lesson there is check the small print. Lesson number 2, get out of environment. I heard this so many times on YouTube, in books over the years, and I never really took it seriously. And then one day I just decided to just go for a walk. This journey, when you're going on to building a business, whether you're just starting out or whether you've got hundreds of staff, I believe it's the same. It can be a very lonely place and it can be really, really testing. On the great days, you feel like you're on top of the world, but on the really, really shit days, it can be like a bomb has exploded in your brain. And so I really, really recommend getting out of environment, going for a walk, going to a local coffee shop, taking yourself to a hotel just to sit in their canteen, in their reception, take your laptop, take a notepad, and just take yourself to go to different environments, to think, to be in a fresh space, a different surrounding, and not always glued to the same desk at the same time. Some of our best ideas and some of my biggest revelations on where we need to go, how to handle something, have come from just being in a completely different environment. And one of my best ultimate favourites is actually a long drive in the car. So every now and then, even though it's not hugely time beneficial to be travelling in the car, I will take myself on a meeting, and instead of public transport where I could work, if I feel like my head is a little bit full and there's a lot going on, I actually enjoy the very fact of driving for an hour or 2 in the car to a meeting rather than trying to use the time on public transport that I could be doing work on my emails. I actually find the time in the car alone with a podcast on or just silence is an incredible time to think, reflect, and I always come back with a strong buzz. So tip number 2, get out of environment. Lesson number 3 was just because it worked yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work today. And we've learned this so many times over the years, where we've come up with a strategy, we've come up with a tactic, a sales method, a marketing medium. We used to do business development, we'd go door to door, we've had face-to-face meetings. COVID came along, that whole model was decimated. You couldn't go out and see people. We had models where we would do lots of direct mail, and it worked really well. And then that particular lumpy piece of mail that we were sending, like a branded mug with somebody's logo on it, to outreach to them because we wanted to produce their branded promotional products for them, it dried up because other people jumped on the bandwagon. It was become the norm. It wasn't exciting anymore. And then we were relying on Google advertising and pay-per-click. We were having a really, really profitable cost per acquisition for our online pay-per-click of about £20 to acquire a customer that on average would spend hundreds of pounds with us. It was a beautiful moment. but it doesn't work forever. And this is really, really difficult, and we've fallen on our sword many a times where you can be booming because you've cracked it at the moment, and for 2-3 months, maybe even 2 years, this particular model that you've created just works. You're flying, the team are busy, they can't cope with anymore. So why would you want to be innovating and trying to bring more on and bring in more mediums on and more strategies? But I've learned the hard way that luck can change just like that, and you really need to always be on looking for tomorrow, because there's always, the world is ever changing, things are going to be different, and just because they work today, it doesn't mean they're going to work tomorrow. And so you constantly need to be thinking about what's next, keeping up with the trends, and looking at ways we can make today even better. Just because the people love it right now, they're not going to love it tomorrow. So we need to innovate for our customers, for our prospects, and be getting better, and not resting on our laurels. So tip number 3, just because it works today doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow. Tip number 4 is something I spent a long time doing, and looking back to the first couple of years, I really believe we could have skyrocketed our growth even quicker had I not spent so much time overthinking things. My tip is, don't overthink it, just experiment, run the trial. Nobody knows. Get to 49% certainty. And if you're halfway there, it's the best you're going to get. Barack Obama once said, his decisions, when he's making huge decisions, but if he could just get to 49% certainty on that he had the right decision, we have to go with that. And that's how I've tried to become the last year or so. And when we've got to that point, let's just trial it. Let's run the experiment. We'll mitigate risk. So a project we're working on at the moment is we're looking to do more direct mail. Don't get me wrong, we could spend hundreds of thousands of pounds in one campaign and go over the whole of the UK to run this experiment, and we could do a 100-page brochure direct mail. But we're not sure, we're quite certain it's going to work, but we're about 50-50 on will the concept that we've got in our heads actually work. So let's mitigate the risk, but let's not spend months experimenting and trialing. Let's do one very quick, swift pilot run where we maybe set a budget of £10,000, do a small project to test the hypothesis, test the results, measure it, and then we can go, okay, we've got a lot more certainty that it's likely to work now, let's go and do it big time, the big vision. But don't spend months and months deliberating, thinking about it. I've seen it so many times where different businesses sit on things for months and they're making decisions and they're trying to see if the boss's boss thinks it's going to be good, and we're running, oh, it might do this, and we're looking at the risk. Mitigate risk, I'm all for it, but 100% just make it done. Speed is so underestimated in the world of business, and I just think not enough people are moving quickly enough, and then they're getting outpaced by other people who are just smaller, more nimble businesses that are just going to make those decisions hyper quickly. So my thing is, just don't overthink things. Make an informed decision and go with your gut, experiment, but mitigate the risk. Lesson number 5, what you allow, you encourage. This hit me like a ton of bricks when I first heard this. But as you scale up and as you build, and I believe this stems back from personal discipline all the way to when you have team members, when you have 1, 2, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 team members. What you allow, you encourage. Now, if I take as a personal example, if I allow myself to not put my health first, if I allow myself to not go and work out, not exercise, and not look after my body, I'm encouraging myself to put myself in an early grave, put myself in high states of being ill and not being able to look after my business. If I allow somebody to walk in at 9:02 when they're contracted to start running a print machine at 9 a.m, I'm encouraging them to continue doing that and not just coming at 9:02, come in at 9:22. Where does it end? And so it really hit me like a ton of bricks. If I allow us to not proceed with a sense of urgency, if I allow us to not look after our customers, if I allow us to not really care about what we're doing every day and be experimenting and be pushing forward and never resting on our laurels, I'm encouraging us to decline as a business. And that really hit me. And I think it starts when you're just starting out and you're a sole trader on your own, and it's all about personal discipline. What you allow, you're encouraging. And then build that discipline, and that culture will then grow within your organization in the first 2, 3, 10, 15, 20 members of your team. And that will just make you an absolute powerhouse, in my opinion. Lesson number 6, data, and more data. We did not take data collection and managing of our data, analysing it and making informed decisions using really strict, solid data for too long. And we could have made so many better decisions and so many less mistakes if we'd been led by data-led decisions as opposed to always just gut reaction. And so one of the things we've really started to prioritise in the last few years, but I wish we'd invested in it when we were very from the ground up, because we would have had all that infrastructure and many more years of data to compare against year-on-year figures. It's not enough to just run yourself a profit and loss, a balance sheet, and monitor the basic things that your accountant will tell you to monitor. In my opinion, you need to be measuring everything, every single thing, as simply and as clean as possible. Excel, Google Sheets is more than enough. You need to be measuring how many people are ringing into your business, how many people are visiting your website, how many people are calling out from your business, how many quotes are you converting to the number of orders that you're receiving, how many new products are being listed on your site, what products are selling really well, what products aren't, what's the churn rate, what's the conversion rate, what's the wastage in your business. All these things, those little things all matter to the big things. Rather than just measuring what the bottom line, the profit and the revenue, those two things are not, they don't just happen magically. They're all as a result of the little small inputs. How many people have been off sick that month? How many people have been on holiday that month? Is that up or down on the previous year, on the previous month? How many people are on the website? How many ranking positions have you got in the first 0 to 5 positions on Google? It all matters. How many direct mail campaigns? What's the direct mail response open rate? All those things, measure, analyze it weekly, and you can make so many much more better decisions quicker, and you'll feel better when you go home at night if you're making decisions led by hard, solid, reliable data. And so one thing I would really advise, a lesson we've learned, data, and more data. Lesson number 7 is make your health your first foundation. I did not do this for the first few years of building this business. I felt that if I wasn't glued to my desk 18, 20 hours a day with the hustle culture that is promoted, I was doing myself a disservice and the business would fail. Now, don't get me wrong, I really strongly believe that if I hadn't have put those hours in and the graft and really committed to the business, I don't believe that we would have got through some of our toughest times. And there are times when you seriously need that, but you have to understand that it's not sustainable. And where I've seen the biggest acceleration in our growth is actually when my mind is in a really good place. I feel mentally healthy, I feel ready, I feel alive, I feel bursting with energy, and the ideas that come out of my head are really fruitful. In the past, I would start work at 5 a.m. I would work through just in the business until 6 p.m. at night, doing quotations, orders, cold calling, meetings, trying to bring revenue in. And then from 7 p.m. until 1 a.m. in the morning, I would work on the business, trying to work on the website, trying to improve our marketing, trying to think things through, trying to do reports, researching new leads that I wanted to contact. I'd be living on energy drinks, and then I would sleep on the office floor on a blow-up inflatable bed, get up, have 4 or 5 hours sleep, get up and do it all again. It wasn't sustainable and it nearly sent me doolally. And I really honestly believe that now I really prioritise my health as my first foundation, because I've realised that if my health is not on top form and I'm laid up in bed for 2 weeks because I'm genuinely feeling just drained and burnt out and my body takes me out of action, that is worse for me to not be here present in building the business, because you can't call in sick from your own business. It just doesn't work. And so when you're in that hyper growth stage, you've got to be on it, and it's better to make small 1% improvements rather than burning the candle at both ends too much. Don't get me wrong, there are times when you've got to throw yourself into it aggressively, and those times still happen to us now, where I have to aggressively work weekends, I have to work late into the night, I have to start very early, but as quickly as possible, when the ship is steadied and the storm has passed, I'm back to respecting my fitness and my sleep and really getting the most out of that rest time, so that I'm back fresh the next morning and ready to deliver for my team and our customers, because that's really what matters. So protect your health and make it your first foundation when you're building a business. Lesson number 8, create a really strict hiring process. I honestly believe when I heard this, it hit me. that the success of an organization and a company, which ultimately is just a group of people, will really be defined on the people that you hire and the people that you do not fire. And I've toyed over the last few years with different versions of the, hire fast, fire faster, hire slow, fire fast. There's lots of different versions. And I've still not 100% worked out. I've probably employed close to 100 people, of different people that have come and gone over the years in a few different businesses that I've been involved in, as well as this business. And so there's certainly a lot more people out there that are more experienced in hiring and firing. But one thing I do realize now is that you can have somebody that comes to you and tells you a job is impossible. There's a problem every day. There's a fire every day. It's not possible. There's issues, and you find yourself basically trying to do the job for them. And then that person can leave, whether they've been fired or they've left of their own accord. But a new person comes in and you just expect that that's going to be the same. And all of a sudden, it's like, it just runs like a dream. And it's really hit us in the last year or so, how you can hire these incredible people that just make your life an absolute pleasure. And they're a pleasure to be around, and they just bring a great energy and a vibe, and you just love coming into work to work alongside them. But then equally, you can have people that just zap all your energy and you actually dread being in their presence. And we haven't been confident enough for a long time in firing fast enough when we know that somebody's not the right fit for this bus. I do believe there's a bus for everyone. There's so many different buses going in so many different directions, and on the bus is different parties and different cultures and different realities and different aims, different beliefs, different visions. But you've got to find the right people that are right for your bus and that want to go in the direction and at the speed and the velocity that you're going at. There are some people that are going down the motorway in the slow lane, and they're very happy because that's what brings them comfort, and they're very happy, and they're looking to just listen to their podcasts, and they're in that kind of mode in their life right now where their journey, they're not in a hurry to get there. They've got all the time in the world. And then there'll be somebody in the fast lane that's going 120 miles an hour and gets really impatient and starts flashing you if you're, queuing up and slowing them down. And so I kind of look at it as that analogy sometimes, is the right people at the right times in their life need to be in the right bus and the right car. Otherwise there's going to be clashes and things are not going to run as well. And that's just my opinion. It's the way I've seen it. And there'll be some people that agree and some people that disagree. But I think the big thing for me is just making sure that you have such a strict hiring process. We originally only used to do one interview and we just go with our gut. Now we have a multi-stage interview process. We have a vetting process. We make sure we get references for everybody religiously from previous employers. And we just take everything a lot more strict, and we've tried to adopt the Amazon methodology of the bar raiser. We want people that come in here, we don't want to be telling them what they've got to do. We want them to be coming in because they carry expertise and they can say to us, what I think we should do is this. I want to take lead on this. I want to go. And they just do it, and they raise the bar of our organisation so that we can create more opportunities for our team and we can all progress forward in life together and ultimately create a better business and a better customer experience as a result of all these great new skills where we're raising the bar of what we are as an organisation. Lesson number 9, do not become the decision bottleneck. When I first started out, I felt every single decision needed to be coming through me. I needed to make every decision. I needed to know about every order. I needed to know about every project, every penny that was being spent. And what starts to happen as you grow is you just become this huge bottleneck where 10, 15, 20 people are all queuing effectively at your door because they need you to know about everything that's being done, and they can't even move a muscle without you giving them approval that that's okay and the right thing to do. And it will just stagnate your growth and stagnate your personal progression hugely. And so one thing I would give huge advice is find incredible people as quickly as possible who lead different areas of your business, different departments, different projects, and empower them to make decisions and trust in them. And something I also made a mistake on is when I tried to start doing that, I would then, when they did make a mistake on the odd occasion, I would jump down their throat and be really frustrated, which created a lack of confidence in that next time they wouldn't make the decision even though I told them to, because they were concerned about the consequences of me snapping at them. So you've got to accept that sometimes we're not all going to get it right 100%. I make more mistakes than anyone on my team. Most days I get things wrong, I say things wrong, and I make the wrong assumptions. And you've got to be forgiving of the team when they make those calls, but just have that debrief with them and talk it through, but respect that they were only doing what they felt was right in that moment. One of the things I've done with our senior team now is any decision that's under £5,000, they can make that decision based on their best judgment and their best call, and I'll back them all the way. Anything over £5,000 at the moment, given the size that we are, we're a £6 million turnover business. As we grow to the next phase, we will increase that threshold, because a lot of those decisions, imagine how many decisions every day on a discount, on a refund, on a delivery, we need to buy a new mouse for somebody, the light switch has broke, Imagine how many decisions would need to come through when there's 50 people in this organisation. If every single penny and every single decision and every single yes or no, can somebody leave half an hour early for an appointment, those kind of decisions, you have to empower the right people to make them in the best interest of the organisation and your team. And so one thing I'd make that decision is just don't become a decision bottleneck. Lesson I learned the hard way. Lesson number 10, do the right work once. Something I've tried to do once we broke out and we had a few team members that were running the day-to-day is I'm always trying to do things that are not a one-trick piece of work. So if I'm trying to show somebody a new process, if I'm creating a process, if we're building something new, I'm somehow, whilst I'm doing it for the first time, I'm documenting how I'm doing it. I'm doing a screen recording video on Loom that I can add onto our company database that anybody can watch back. So once I've shown this certain person once, I'm leveraging my time because I'm recording how it's done and walking them through it. They're learning, but then it's documented. So if they forget tomorrow or they have a bad day, they don't need to come and ask me again. It's documented. They can rewatch it at any point. It's great for our new starters, new training, and everything I do, I'm trying to do the right work once, and it will keep working for the organisation again and again and again. So I'm not depleting what we could be doing with that time. So tomorrow I'm on the next thing, and then the next thing. I'm not taking a step back and needing to train somebody again because there's another new person joined or the process somebody's forgotten about. So I really believe in doing the right work once, and then it will keep paying. We're spending time building automations, building systems, improving processes, documenting it along the way. We're looking at bringing in better people, fantastic people that can help us. So I'm not needing to go back and do the same thing again and again. So I'm really trying to spend my time on leverage things that were going to really help us move forward tomorrow. So I'm trying to work on the tomorrow and let the team work on today. If you've got to this end of the video, that was the 10, but I've got 2 more that I just want to give you because they're bursting at me as we've been going on. First one, tip number 11, block your time. I changed from to-do lists to time blocking, which is very well talked about, and there's tons of research and case studies and people educating how to do this in depth on YouTube, Google, there's books. But time blocking, as the business grew and I started to work on the business, and I started to have one-to-ones, and I started to have a little bit more control over my diary rather than being very reactive and customer facing, time blocking is just been a game changer for me in making sure that I get the right work done in the week. And it's so easy when there's 50 people around you, when you're involved in multiple different businesses and there's lots of hairy moments going on, for people to sap your time. And you can get to a Friday, reflect on your week, and you could have achieved nothing apart from walk round, answer questions, chat to people, and no progress has been made because you've just been firefighting. You've got to block your time and be so strict on yourself in making sure that on the Sunday or the Monday, when you plan all your objectives for the week on what is going to make the business better, what can I do to make the business better for our team and our customers this week that's really going to move the needle in line with our big vision, you then stick to it and do not let anybody take you away from it. You've got to be so protective and fight over your time and say, I'm sorry, I'm blocked for an hour, I'm in a meeting, is my common phrase. Tell people you're in a meeting, even if you're in a meeting with yourself. My time blocking is so strict, where I will block an hour to do something, I'll block an hour for research, I'll block an hour to move something forward, and I will be left alone for that hour, because that's the only way, when there's so many people needing your time and wanting to demand and sap your time because they need your help, they think. It's too easy to lean on you, but you need to move things forward. Otherwise, weeks will go by and you will achieve nothing. It's so easy to be busy just being busy. And actually, there needs to be value in that time. So block your time. I strongly recommend it. And the last one, which I think so many of us need to hear, I don't think it gets much easier. If I reflect on our first year when we were turning £50,000 and it was just me in the bedroom, through to now when we're on track to achieve about revenues of 8 million this year, and we've got aspirations to be around the 10 million revenue mark within the next 24 months. I don't think that this cycle changes. There's this cycle where when things are going bad, it's very easy to forget that they're going to become good again. And when things are going really, really well and you feel like you're on top of the world, it's very easy in those moments to be alert to the fact that very soon things will come bad again. And I just believe it's a never-ending cycle. It's like day and night. There's always day, there's always night. Sun and rain, there's always sun. And I just believe that something I've learned is it doesn't really get any easier as you get bigger. I just think that it's like building that muscle. Your resilience gets a little bit stronger. Some of the things that would have probably made me go and run and hide under my desk, like bombs were dropping 3-4 years ago, now just fling off my shoulder like they're nothing. But that's because I'm now the next big catastrophe that I've never experienced before. My muscle's not been stretched for that yet, and it's really easy to forget those things that you without even realizing it, you're building that resilience. And I just think people need to remember not to get too complacent, but enjoy the days when it's going well, but be ready and be prepared, because the dark will be coming. And when it's dark and you're feeling hell, just remember, light is coming. And it's just two inevitable things, and I just think it's a never-ending hamster wheel. I hope this has been helpful. If you would please do me the real privilege of dropping a like and a comment on any of your feedback for this video, it'd mean the world to us. Thank you.